Chapter 5298. Jian Wushuang's eyes were fixed on the flesh. As long as the flesh is completed and he returns again, he can rely on the flesh to resist. But now there is still some distance between the physical body. It will take at least 10 years for the distance to be complete. But he can't wait now, and if this continues, he is in danger of falling. Then I can only give up. After spending so much effort, half of the treasures that were finally exchanged were thrown into the cosmic copper furnace. He was not reconciled. Many cracks appeared on the divine body. I can't manage that much. He was ready to break the boat. Broken divine body, broken flesh, the two are combined. I really don't know what will happen. Jian Wushuang forcibly merged into one, regardless of the damage of the two, directly merged into one. Perfect fit. Also, this is his physical body. If it doesn't fit together, that's weird. The two shattered, swallowed each other, and merged. Cool. Jian Wushuang let out a sigh. The divine body was finally not damaged, but the physical body was not yet completed. He merged the divine body and the origin, but the order was wrong. The reason why the physical body has to be carried out alone is because it is afraid that the will of the inheritor will not be able to stand it. The supercar body is indestructible, but when the will is destroyed, people are gone. Jian Wushuang didn't know this point. He just breathed a sigh of relief, and the flame of tempering his flesh fell from the sky, tempering with the original source and divine body he had just merged. The scorching sensation is millions of times higher than the temperature in the copper furnace. In an instant, his divine body collapsed, and the source was also extinguished. Death is only in an instant. His willpower was fairly good, and he didn't break it in a single blow, but the flames continued to temper, and he couldn't stop it for a moment. Do not. Jian Wushuang roared, but his will disengaged from the whole body like a disobedient. Detached. There are two types. A kind of detachment in space and matter. Once it succeeds, it is to escape from the existence of the universe. The other is death. This time Jian Wushuang was obviously dead and detached. The origin is exhausted, the divine body collapses, and what is the use of a flesh body? Will slowly fade. In front of me, the scenes turned around. Are you going to die? Jian Wushuang didn't dare to blink. He didn't want to let go of every scene. That was what he once wanted to protect. There are Taoists, masters, brothers, and the world he wants to guard. After he entered the temple of Chishan, he forgot about these things, or he took the initiative to give up, because he wanted to walk the way of God. Those who have become emperors since ancient times should get rid of common past events. Before his fall, he did not expect that what he remembered was not the road to becoming an emperor, but the precious things. Xian Yi, Lao Zun, goodbye forever. Death and death. The will completely collapsed. Jian Wushuang was outside for tens of thousands of years. The time for cultivation is an acceleration of time, even more incalculable. In the starry sky alone, he has cultivated for hundreds of millions of years. The memory drifted away, and at the moment Daoxue, a piece of true spirit floated into the sea of origin of the Chishan universe. Chishan Temple, the sea of origin. In the Heart Sea Palace. The true spirit who had just returned, after a little investigation, found Jian Wushuang's fall. Happy in my heart. Jian Wushuang has swallowing power in his body. He has never figured out whether it is the inheritance that was lost by the body that was acquired by this kid. It was this kid who figured it out on his own. No matter what kind of possibility, he didn't want to see Jian Wushuang continue to be strong. No matter which step you get, even if you become the master of the universe, you will eventually fall. Why waste so many opportunities? Although the true spirit did not like Jian Wushuang, he also regretted that the ultimate way, the 10,000 times divine body, and the supergrade physical body were obviously completed, and he had to go to the 9 exercises, and now he has fallen. No wonder anyone. Such a Tianjiao, if it were not for the power of swallowing, he would have treated it specially, just like Hua Qing did. However, in his view, Hui Qing's potential is still not weaker than Jian Wushuang. Hui Qing's foundation is more solid. This is because of the reasons of the previous life, and the ultimate way of cultivation is the Zen machine. In the future, the emperor will be one of the most difficult and terrifying emperors, and it is comparable to the spiritual practitioners. Zen machine, good at deduction. Huiking's divine body is not weak, and the treasures of the Chishan temple will be smashed down, and the battle strength will move forward with the deduction, and the emperor will be generous and glorious. Even if you can't reach the top, you can dominate one side among the emperors in the future. Just like the sword fairy who used to be the invincible emperor, the emperor-level powerhouse is a sword in front of her. Compared with these characters, Jian Wushuang is a strong man who has not risen. Fall is also fate. In the Heart Sea Palace, Zhenling waved his hand, and time stood still. He wanted to see when Jian Wushuang had mastered the extreme way. One timeline is the life of Jian Wushuang. A strong person who has not escaped time is a line in his life. The picture is flipped. In the Great Wilderness, Jian Wushuang was the one behind the palace, blocking the emperor's remnant thoughts. On the Bone Road, he fell into siege by an army of corpses again. I also saw Hu Yiqing at that time. He even saw Hu Yiqing awakening and contending with Zhu Zhuan. Time went by little, until the moment Jian Wushuang awakened his mind. Yep. Zhenling looked at the large timeline in the middle. No matter how you dragged it, the screen was still. However, in terms of time, there is a very long one. When it was pulled to the end, the screen started to move. It was a scene of several monks going to death. What happened in the middle? This time Zhenling was shocked. He actually couldn't see the middle process. Obviously there is a big timeline. For hundreds of millions of years, it is impossible to check it. Did Jian Wushuang escape time? This is simply impossible. A Dian immortal jumped out of time. The true spirit can't believe it, and doesn't want to believe it. At the beginning, the gods were not able to break away from the timeline, and if they were truly out of the timeline, they would not fall away. There are also some treasures that can be separated from the timeline in a small area, such as in the Heart Sea Palace. No, this sun can't fall yet. The true spirit immediately got up, personally manipulated the Xinhai temple, and collected Jian Wushuang's true spirit fragments into the palace and put them into a green vial. Then he sat cross-legged in front of the chess and cards again. Mobilize the entire universe and stimulate the power of the Heart Sea Palace. Based on Jian Wushuang's true spirit fragments, he could find out the long timeline and see what happened in it. If Jian Wushuang could really jump out of the timeline, he had to suspect that Jian Wushuang was the reincarnation of a certain great figure. It is also possible to look at strength. Rank 9 Dian Immortal can actually rival the Emperor. Powerful in all directions, 5,000 times the divine body, the pillar of origin is stronger than that of the Emperor. If that was the case, he would have to change his view of Jian Wushuang, and he would not be able to suppress it at that time, and he would have to make a confession. Out of the timeline. This kind of character, I haven't seen many of them in the past. Big shot. Zhenling took a breath, and then turned out the timeline. It is indeed a jump in time. That is a starry sky, very beautiful. Intoxicating. Starry Sky Catalogue. Chapter 5299. Zhenling rubbed his chin. It looks like a broad starry sky map, but when Jian Wushuang is in it, this starry sky map is more like the whole world. At the end, Zhenling couldn't help taking a breath. The starry sky actually existed, jumping out of time and space to see the whole world with a piece of paper. What a method is this, so terrifying. The picture rotates abruptly. In the endless starry sky, the universe is full of gravel, and the pulse of time and space is extremely small. While Zhenling was still looking down, in the endless starry sky, one eye suddenly opened, and the huge eyes stared at Zhenling's small Meng Bin eyes. Zhenling was shocked directly, and he hurriedly swiped the screen, but couldn't quit. Thump. Zhenling was directly scared and sat on the ground. What is that? Senior, Junior has no intention to disturb. I couldn't tell the truth, so I knelt down and bowed quickly. A look in the universe shocked the entire universe. If it weren't for the suppression of the supreme treasure of the Heart Sea Palace, the origin of the universe would have collapsed. When the real spirit raised his head again, that eye slowly closed again. The owner of the eyes is like the void of positive films. With the strength of the true spirit, it is impossible to see its true body. After that eye disappeared completely, he breathed a sigh of relief. Unknowingly, a cold sweat came out from behind. He didn't dare to look at Jian Wushuang's timeline anymore, and quickly took out the fragments from the bottle, and sent them back to Maureen Mountain. After doing all this, Zhenling rearranged the Heartsea Hall, completely isolating all space and time, and immediately transmitted the sound to Shen Yi. Some real spirits who couldn't wait even opened the Heartsea Palace directly, without hesitating to consume the origin of the universe, and directly moved Shen Yi directly. Shen Yi, who was still studying puppets, suddenly felt bad when he looked up and found that he had reached the Heartsea Palace. Seeing the anxious appearance of the real spirit, you know that something big has happened. The two talked for a long time. This time the conversation was extremely secret, with the blessing of the Heartsea Temple. Even if it was an existence that escaped the timeline, it could not be viewed. In this way, the true spirit also felt unsafe. Since seeing that eye, he always felt cold behind his back, and felt that it was not safe in the Palace of Heartsea. The conversation with Shen Yi was also extremely nervous, and he was more cautious when talking about Zhen Wushuang. The owner of that eye is definitely stronger than the existence of the gods who had escaped the timeline when they saw it. Really? Shen Yi couldn't believe it. Keep your voice down. Pay attention to your manners. Zhenling waved his hand quickly to signal Shen Yi to keep a low profile. But Shen Yi, who was sitting there, was silent and lost in thought. When the predecessor found him, he did say that a strongest person in this world was about to be born. But that strong person, according to the information description, is not Zhen Wushuang. Could it be that there are two strong men, or that the predecessor has short-sightedness? This is obviously impossible. That predecessor is also an existence that has escaped the timeline. He predicted that in the future there will be a catastrophe of heaven and earth, when an extraordinary existence will be born, and it will be necessary for practitioners to be buried in the whole time and space to create that existence. Shen Yi is a real tortoise. His eyes are very similar to those of the real spirit, and the Mung Bin eyes keep spinning. Turtle Snake, what do you think? What did that senior say back then? The true spirit is anxious and a little impatient. Shen Yi woke up suddenly and patted the chessboard again. I seem to understand that when the senior came to this world, I am afraid he had a foreboding that today, he used my name to leave a clone in every domain of this universe and cultivated many strong people. You can check the timeline of those Dian immortals, and that predecessor is also arranging cause and effect. Zhenling frowned and said Shen Yi in a low voice. A brother Dianxian appeared in front of him and kept flipping through the timeline. Finally, he shook his head and said in a deep voice, only in Zhen Wushuang's memory, one named Shen Yi had some problems, but the others didn't match up. There was a small concubine named Shen Yi of Dian Immortal, which is unlikely. But there is one thing that I don't quite understand. This existence can obviously jump out of the timeline and cover his own past. Why can I still see it? Zhenling said, the doubt in his heart. Perhaps he expected it too? The conversation between the two stopped abruptly. If this is the case, he has to consider whether to throw Zhen Wushuang out. This is a disaster. In the future, Didao will take a long river of time to bury him. However, the eye in the starry sky kept the real spirit hesitating. He regrets going to look at Zhen Wushuang's timeline now, and if nothing is gone, letting Zhen Wushuang fall directly, he will not worry so much in his heart. I don't think there is a big connection between the two. The existence you mentioned is very different from the predecessor I met. It should not be the same person. Zhen Wushuang had better not move. The one we are looking for may not be the same. Once you have entered the Temple of Chishan, you'd better implement the migration as soon as possible. As for where to go, choose a powerful river of time and space. There is also room for buffer. Shen Yi cautiously said. Zhenling nodded, and finally gave Shen Yi a meaningful look. After Shen Yi left, Zhenling stood by the pillar of the Heartsea Hall, his eyes deep. Obviously recalling what Shen Yi said. Is this long river of time and space easy to destroy? Indeed. This long river of time and space is too weak. The Lord of the Universe is a legend, and anyone who goes against the sky can subvert it. But if you go, there are some powerful long rivers of time and space, the long rivers of time and space where eternal forces are sitting. That might be the case. If the existence is really in the Temple of Chishan, he would be happy to see that scene. In any case, they are all strong people who came out of the Chishan Temple, and the Chishan line can be great again. Jian Wushuang. It shouldn't be him. Although all traces were Jian Wushuang, he had a hunch that it would not be Jian Wushuang, but someone else. He saw the Dian immortal in a picture. Although hidden deep, countless practitioners will encounter some benefactors, or powerful masters, or mysterious masters. But there was a Dian immortal who met several powerful masters. There were people behind these masters. One of those people existed without a timeline, or some fake timelines. That existence is the senior in Xian Yi's mouth. Jian Wushuang is just a blindfold. As for that eye, he dared not explore again. Jian Wushuang had a long way to go. Looking through the primitive world at a glance, on the original star of Jiari, a 9-turned Great Yangxian, disguised as 9-turned Great Yangxian, practiced in the entire time house. He is recognized as the #1 powerhouse on the first original star. Have the strength of the Emperor. One person swept the entire primordial star, and the second stage of trial swept countless demons without any pressure. After Zhen Ling remembered this person deeply, he had a plan in his heart. Chapter 5300. That predecessor is either misleading, or it is that this universe will have two strongest people. Anyway, these two people will focus on training in the future, especially Jian Wushuang. But you shouldn't leak too many feet, or you will change from unintentional to intentional. After you really reach the top, I'm afraid you will look at your life. Such a strong person does not want to be used as a pawn. The universe moves. The world revolves. All the laws have long been set. Get out of space and master the time, although not in this time and space, but in a starry sky. The true spirit or the senior, they can't count. The figure who will traverse the world in the future will be the most inconspicuous Dian Immortal, a Dian Immortal who is underestimated by everyone. Magic Sound Mountain. In the cosmic copper furnace, the worn-out consciousness unexpectedly reunited, and the origin and the divine body exploded again. Jian Wushuang unexpectedly came back to life again. He himself was a little confused. All of this was real, and he came back to life again. Death still stopped at that moment. The power of resuscitation made him return to his peak. It was too late to think about it. The broken divine body and origin had already merged into the flesh, and the scorching heat of the flame struck again. This time it was in the peak state, and with the experience just now, it really made him resist. Willpower is related to the state of mind. The stronger his state of mind, the more tenacious his willpower. He carried on the first wave, the second wave, and even the last wave. It was originally just tempering the physical body, but now even the origin and the divine body are tempered into the physical body together. Throughout the ages, the first person, even the true spirit couldn't help being shocked after seeing it. This is the 10th exercise. Haha, the 10th exercise was created by a little guy, so let's add another layer. With a wave of the real spirit, Jian Wushuang's figure entered another dimension. I was trying to find a reason to bestow Jian Wushuang's treasure, but now it seems that it was delivered to him. But this was also Jian Wushuang strong enough, he was stunned, and he innovated the 10th chain. After being teleported to another space, Jian Wushuang took a good look at his body. The whole body is naked. His skin is crystal clear and mellow, and his upper body is extremely strong because of his skeleton. It's just that the hair changed color and became gray. White hair and white face, only eyes with a trace of blood. The candle dragon's eyes from the center of the eyebrows exudes light. Cool. In one breath, it really is a clone. There is no breath on the body. Change. The avatar instantly turned into a feather, flying lightly. Jian Wushuang's thought power was extremely powerful, wrapped in feathers, and he couldn't detect the breath on the feathers, but it felt like an ordinary feather. Such ability is even stronger than Qiu Huang said. The sword has no double-sided color. Before he was happy, an illusory woman appeared suddenly. Jian Wushuang. The woman's voice was cold, shocking Jian Wushuang. Just about to bow down to see him, it suddenly occurred to me that I didn't wear anything on my body, and quickly took out a clean python robe from the world of Shumi and put it on. The white-haired python robe, the whole person has a majestic color. Facing the cold woman, Jian Wushuang responded carefully. I thought that he would directly enter the demon suppression space, or the Shanjun would greet him, but I didn't expect an illusory woman to appear suddenly. By the order of the true spirit, I hereby reward you for creating the 10th refinement of the supergrade physical body. Jian Wushuang was a little puzzled. 10th exercise? Could it be because he practiced the divine body and the source together? There really is such a possibility. No wonder his physical body is much stronger than Qiu Huang said. It can simulate various substances. After receiving the reward, the illusory woman left without thanking the true spirit in the opponent's mouth. It's quick to come, and it's quick to go. Jian Wushuang didn't care about this. He didn't know that it was that illusory woman who was transformed from the true spirit inside the temple of Chishan. Maureen Mountain was almost evacuated. There were still figures there, and those emperors could not enter here. The Senate has just taken over, and it is unlikely that it will come in so soon. Waved. The rewarded jade box flew over. After opening it, Jian Wushuang was surprised to find that a light green board was placed in the jade box. Bring your thumb, very suitable. The moment he took it, a scene suddenly appeared in his mind. That is a majestic who teaches sentient beings in his dojo. At the top of the dojo, there are still many people in a row. The scene gradually disappeared. Jian Wushuang only remembered it, and there were a few ancient words written on it. Mischief. He recognized it. That was the of preaching, and the of his right hand was holding the ancient book with a light green board on his right thumb. At this moment, Jian Wushuang's breathing was cramped. Regardless of whether the board is useful or not, it is too meaningful for collection. A board that has been carried by the gods for many years has a more or less ambivalent atmosphere on the top. Or it contains the avenue of the gods, which is too precious. He turned the board cautiously, and his mind was ethereal. His cultivation speed was more than 100 times faster, and there was also a Shumi world on this board. Moved slightly. The huge black and white yin and yang array suddenly appeared. This turned out to be a big formation, a great array to protect Qingning. This treasure did not contribute much to the increase in his strength, but it was definitely the top auxiliary treasure. For a time, hold it in your hand, and some can't put it down. This kind of feeling, I don't know how many years it has been, like a child, holding a toy, playing non-stop. The whole person's spirit has improved a lot, and his thought power has become much stronger than before. It's time to leave. Jian Wushuang stood there, waiting quietly. The soles of the feet turned for a while, and a lot of light flashed. He didn't notice it. The figure disappeared instantly, and when it reappeared, it had already reached the top of Maureen Mountain. Jian Wushuang looked around, and there was a big pit that was not a bit deep in the place where the demon suppression pillar was originally placed. What's happening? Where is Shanjun? And the outside scene has also changed. The Maureen Mountain was clearly in the void, but now it is in a lake. Because it is fresh water, although the scope is large, Jian Wushuang guessed that it should be a lake. The sky is blue. It's been a long time since I entered the real world. Brat. A familiar voice sounded and brought Jian Wushuang's thoughts back. Turning around, he found that it was the old man with horns. Senior Yang, why are you here? Jian Wushuang asked in surprise. Yang Sanmu smiled slightly. I am still surprised that you will be here. After listening to the other party, Jian Wushuang learned that Maureen Mountain had been moved to the 4 core secret realms, and Shanjun had been taken away. This made Jian Wushuang feel very guilty, and it must be because of the catastrophe that swallowed the origin of the universe. If there is a day when the Tao is in the sky, he will be rescued. Repay the cause. Before he knew it, he owed a lot of cause and effect. Text download address, phone reading. Chapter 5301. The causal cycle is in accordance with the destiny. Tribulation, evil, cause and effect. He can account for everything. Fortunately, the cause and effect is that Shanjun helped him, and there was no requirement. Xian Yi and Lao Zun also helped him at the beginning, and there was also no need. However, the power of Jieguo is constantly growing, and it must be eradicated before being combined. As for the consequences, this has something to do with his strength. Once Ji Dao breaks through to the 7th level and masters the power of all things, he will be able to get rid of the evil consequences of swallowing power. All three have solutions, but they are extremely difficult. Jian Wushuang shook his head secretly, not thinking so much, now it's important to go back. From the mouth of Yang Sanmu, he also probably understood the 4 secret realms, and he was very fascinated. He didn't expect that there are still ancient continents today. After the future trials are over, he will definitely venture into the core. Senior, how many powerhouses are there in these 4 secret realms? Jian Wushuang couldn't help asking. According to Yang Sanmu, the 4 secret realms are extremely wide, comparable to the size of half a universe, and their existence time exceeds the time when the universe was born. The strong here has the oldest heritage, and various geniuses and treasures. The powerhouse born is probably several times stronger than the original star universe. He has also seen the list of the universe gods and demons. The original universe alone has tens of thousands of emperors. Although the fifth-order emperors have all gone to the long river of time and space, if they all return, I am afraid there will be dozens of them. This is not even the missing ones. When the old man with horns heard this, he was obviously taken aback. After entering the Senate Palace, he hadn't had time to look through the strong man's record sent by the White Tiger Palace, but he calculated based on what he had seen and heard in the 4 secret realms. The powerhouse in the northern realm of the heavenly secret realm alone is much stronger than the primitive universe. There may be a gap in quantity, but in terms of quality, it is absolutely dominant. The primitive universe has countless great evolving immortals, which is more than the northern realm or even the entire celestial realm. But in terms of emperors, they are quite weak, and there are several sixth-order emperors named by the old horned man. The primitive universe didn't even have a sixth-order emperor. Of course, there is an ultimate emperor in the original universe, and there is no ultimate emperor in the entire Chishan temple. If so, they are probably sleeping in the tomb of the gods. An ultimate emperor is more important than several sixth-order emperors, especially that ultimate emperor was about to touch the peak. It was only a matter of time to cross the 6th step, and the true spirit would solve it personally. The combat power is not anxious, the important cosmic secret law, and its own origin. Once these two break through, it is really a matter of time to reach the top. After listening to the explanation of the old man with horns, Jian Wushuang nodded. This temple of Chishan was much stronger than he had imagined, but he also had a question. Why are there so many powerhouses in the temple of Chishan, and it takes a lot of effort to recruit inheritors from the primitive universe? In his opinion, it would be good to recruit an ultimate emperor. It is too wasteful to cast the net widely and catch less fish. Haha. Yang Sanmu laughed when he heard Jian Wushuang's doubts. Little guy, it's embarrassing for you too. There are some things that you will understand if you don't understand now. Remember, the day after tomorrow will never compare to the innate, and the practitioners in the Temple of Chishan are acquired by the day after tomorrow. Jian Wushuang really didn't understand what he heard, but he remembered the last sentence in his heart. Your own physical body is the strongest acquired. Is it really inferior to those innate creatures? Maybe not now, but not necessarily in the future. The innate beast gods are strong enough, they have not been beheaded by the gods and refined into treasures. Who dares to say that the gods are not strong? The two chatted for a while, and a middle-aged man in a yellow robe, wearing a senior executive with a sallow complexion, walked out of a crack in the space. The moment he walked out, Jian Wushuang felt a strong pressure, and his entire body couldn't move. You are Jian Wushuang? The visitor was Wu Zue, who had just returned from farewell to Shanjun. Junior, Jian Wushuang has seen senior. Jian Wushuang bowed slightly. Wu's were put away the coercion, but the true spirit of this man had instructed him to return to the original star in its entirety. He didn't dare to bully the small. Now the entire Chishan temple, the most important thing is these inheritors. Although he is a little unconvinced, he does not dare to make mistakes. The days of pacifying chaos and reclaiming wasteland have just passed through, but now we have to be honest. And when he sent Shanjun to the second prison, Shanjun also asked him to take more care of the little guy on Maureen Mountain. Although the two of them had a normal friendship, the 5 great demon masters were once infinitely beautiful, and the 5 were connected to the heart, and they were once one body. To give face to the mountain gentleman is to give face to the other 4. He knows that, except for the mountain monarch and the heart demon who were sent to prison, the remaining few, but they were mixed in the Chishan temple, especially the wind demon, and the 10,000 demons, who are now the celebrities next to the true spirit. Up. Don't be so nervous, there are still 2 days left before the trial of Primordial Star. Are you going to go back now, or take a look on this Yuanyang Lake? Jian Wushuang could stay and have a look at the sound, a little frightened. The sheep on the side patted him on the shoulder, winked, and said, "Thank you, Brother Wu Zhuo." "Thank you, Lord Wu Zhuo. Don't thank me, I will trouble Brother Yang to take Jian Wushuang to look at this Yuanyang Lake in the past 2 days, and I will personally take you back when I leave." As soon as the voice fell, a big snake with a thick water tank rushed out. Wu Zhuo stood on the head of the snake and glanced at Jian Wushuang. Especially after seeing the light green board on Jian Wushuang's thumb, his eyeholes shrank to a point. He didn't dare to ask more, his figure disappeared in a flash. Jian Wushuang, who straightened up, had a different color in his eyes. He could feel that his luck seemed to have changed, and Shan Jun was helping him because the two were of the same kind. Wu Zhuo took great care of him, it should be that board. The overflow of this board, I am afraid it is only now manifested, I still underestimated it before. Just now, the person who had seen the of ambiguity, recognized that the light green board in his hand was something of the of ambiguity, so he took care of this and allowed him to stay here. The young Sanmu who was standing next to him was also a little surprised. The usual arrogant Wu Zhuo was so approachable this time, and he let Jian Wushuang stay here. It seems that the true spirit hasn't explained anything in particular, it's just that Wu Zhuo was too careful to return Jian Wushuang to the original world. Maybe Wu Zhuo was too careful, Yang Sanmu secretly guessed. Senior Sheep, who is the Wu Zhuo Lord just now? Seeing that the treatment was completely gone, Jian Wushuang probed carefully. The strength of the man just now is very strong, at least stronger than the emperor he has seen, and it is not much better than the mountain monarch. Yang Sanmu's eyes were reminiscent, and he slowly said, "He is the disciple who sits down and is the only disciple still alive, a 6th-order mighty person. Disciple of Chishan?" Jian Wushuang was shocked. "No wonder you know the board on his thumb, you know that even the old man with horns doesn't know this treasure." Text download address, phone reading. Chapter 5302. Well, there are only 2 days. You have to cherish it. This is the boundary map near Yuanyang Lake. If you want to leave Yuanyang Lake, you can sit in the teleportation formation and go to the northern boundary to take a look at the ancient sect. Ancient sect? Jian Wushuang swallowed. Then go now. Can. With a smile on his face, Yang Sanmu waved his hand and suddenly a huge ancient boat appeared in the sky. The ancient boat is very leaky, there is only a small pavilion, and there is a puppet fisherman in the front. Jian Wushuang got on the ancient ark, only to realize that there was an aura familiar to him on this ancient ark, that was an eternal aura. This is the eternal treasure. Jian Wu was calm and asked with some uncertainty. Yang Sanmu widened his eyes and exclaimed, "Boy, you have a good vision. This is indeed the eternal treasure. The old man with horns is considered the richest among the 5th-order emperors, even richer than some poorer 6th-order emperors. In addition to the treasures of the universe, he has collected other eternal treasures, from the best to the ordinary. This ancient boat is one of them. This is the first time since the decline of ancient times. The power of the eternal treasure is infinite. With a slight movement, it turns into a stream of light and goes straight to the end of the sky. The old man with horns first took Jian Wushuang to the palace group above the center of Yuanyang Lake. Among them, there is a large hall that is responsible for teleportation and is interconnected with the northern continent. Because of the limited time, it is impossible to go deep into the north, so I can only look for the ancient sects of the marginal generation and observe it. Said it is to observe, in fact, it is to go to the mountains and play. Entering the teleportation hall, Jian Wushuang saw another old acquaintance. Senior Qiu Huang. Qiu Huang's appearance was different from when he was in the treasure hall. Now he is sitting in the center, his complexion is extremely majestic, and his strength has long been restored to its peak. The 5th-order peak emperor. In the Yuan Laro Palace, the weakest emperor is the 5th-order emperor. Otherwise, they would have been slaughtered long ago, and it would be useless to keep them below the 5th level. Hehe, I knew it was you kid in Maureen Mountain. Qiu Huang had already guessed what it looked like. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly, and said, predecessors have a wonderful calculation. Stop nonsense, the trials of the primordial realm are about to begin, hurry in. The old man with horns and his eyebrows dangled. He looked down on Qiu Huang very much. In terms of seniority, he was much higher than Qiu Huang. He was the first emperor to be looted. For Qiu Huang, a latecomer, he has always been a senior. Look like. Xiao Qiu. I brought Wushuang here, not to teleport back to the primordial realm, but to go to the North realm. You quickly open the big formation. Qiu Huang sat up directly from the throne. This body was only one of his law bodies, and the true deity was practicing in retreat. The thin body suddenly stood up, and the momentum it caused was not small. After all, it was a 5th-order peak emperor, and even a law body had an ordinary 5th-order level. This is the center of the Senate Palace, so the law bodies sitting here are naturally a bit more tyrannical. Northern. The trial is about to begin. What are you going to do to the north now? The old man with horns, his voice was warm and angry. Brother Wuzhua, specially let Wushuang stay for 2 days to get to know him. Anyway, he will be stationed in the core in the future, and when he goes back, Brother Wuzhua will send him back personally, so don't worry. At first it was Wuzhua's meaning, and Qiu Huang's eyes looked at Jian Wushuang, which was even more incredible. In just a few days, Jian Wushuang has become involved with Wuzhua. Jian Wushuang stood aside and nodded. Trouble, Senior Qiu Huang. The two of them stepped into the big formation, the heaven and earth hall. The universe is boundless. In an instant, it crossed over many boundaries. Northland. Liuju ancient territory, Sholuo City. The huge Liuju is the size of a high-level world, and Sholuo City is ranked in the top 3 major cities. Only this kind of ancient city will have a teleportation array. With such a large array, every time it takes to open the teleportation, Dianxian can go bankrupt, and generally only the emperor can consume it. Fortunately, 10,000 people can be transmitted at one time, and part of the 9 ranks Dian Immortal can be consumed. The ancient huge teleportation formation is located in the core area of Sholuo City, next to the City Lord's mansion. It was a 5th-tier emperor who built this supercity, but that emperor fell while participating in a battle of the sect, and now it is his descendants who manage this supercity. The City Lord at this time, although not a 5th-order emperor, but also a 4th-order peak emperor, is also very famous in the local generation. When the old ancestor Sholuo fell, this big city should have changed hands, but the 4th-order emperor was very courageous, went directly to the White Tiger Temple, and gave the entire Sholuo city to the White Tiger Temple. The White Tiger Palace was taken back naturally, and no one dared to be evil. It was just that there was a lack of manpower at that time, so the 4th-order emperor was allowed to manage it on his behalf. Although it was said, there was still some hidden meaning in it. As for what it was, it is estimated that the people in the White Tiger Palace and the emperor knew. Outside the teleportation formation, a small team of emperors has been guarded for many years to defend the teleportation formation. Of course, only 100 Dian Immortals at the Daoist level and a black-clothed emperor at the City Lord's mansion can be seen daily. The Emperor Squad is a member of the White Tiger Hall. They usually practice in the White Tiger Branch Hall and don't usually go out. Although the 4 secret realms are chaotic, no matter how chaotic they are also the top chaotic and weak emperor. When they see the White Tiger Palace, they tremble and dare not make trouble. Those who dare to make trouble, there is no tier 6 but tier 5 strength. Outside the teleportation array at this time, many strong people came in and out. This is Liu Ju. A young man in a white robes with a high crown on his head was exceptionally noble, but his behavior was extremely frivolous. And he is only Dian Immortal, but his strength has reached the threshold of a half-step emperor. He is the emperor in the sect, and his status is noble. Following him is also a leader in the sect, and each is the strength of the Taoist monarch. Among these handsome men and women, there is also an old man in 60s, his appearance is the least conspicuous, but the strength is the strongest. He is a 3rd-order emperor. Although the strong in the 4 great secret realms are like clouds, the third-order emperor, whether in the outside world or in the temple of the gods, is considered to be the strong. Old GE, I think this Sharo city is just like that. It's not as good as our Twilight City. When the distinguished man opened his mouth, he somewhat disliked this ancient Sharo city. The 60th old man was smiling, with kindness in his eyes, and explained, "Young master, don't underestimate this Sholuo city. Back then, when the Sholuo city lord was in Liuju, it was extremely lively. That's all before." The noble man who was called the young master led everyone down the teleportation formation, and cast a slight disgust at the crowded teleportation formation. Cross-city transmission, they were able to start a single cost, and they were not crowded with those people. Text download address, phone reading. Chapter 5303. Young Master, let's go to the City Lord's mansion first. I am a good friend with an emperor in the City Lord's mansion. They will arrange for someone to send us to the Shangqing Palace. Ge Laro stepped forward, his face trembling. Well, it's time to find a place to be clean for a while. At the same time, there was a group of people, and their destination was also the Shangqing Palace. There are 13 people in a group, old and young. The leader was a man in a green shirt, who was also a third-order emperor. What was strange was that he was still carrying a broken sword. Few practitioners have the habit of carrying the sword, let alone carrying a broken sword. The remaining 3 are Daojuan level, and 9 are half-walk Daojun. 100 sacred stones. Outside the teleportation array, a cold voice came from a Taoist guard. The man in the green shirt turned his hand and he was a neat 100 sacred stones. This is the hard currency of the 4 great secret realms. Each sacred stone contains the origin of space. Although it is extremely rare, it can't hold up the amount. If converted into external value, almost a stone is an ordinary treasure. Uncle Nai, haven't we paid for the sacred stone in Twilight City? Why do we have to give it another 100? The girl in the green dress has a small round face and is very pleasant. Before the Master Nai could answer, the noble young master who had not left yet took the words. Little girl, this is the rule of the temple. Ask your master uncle if you dare to touch it. If you dare, you can go back to the 100 sacred stones. It's you. Wei Liang. The young master turned his head and looked around, and recognized the person who spoke. They are all strong in Twilight City, almost all of them know each other. It's just that they are not right. When Elder Ge saw the man surnamed Nai taking the lead, his face was cold. When the 2 groups confronted each other, the 3-tiered teleportation made a hum. Look at it, it's the 3rd layer of teleportation array, trans-state teleportation. The sect grand ceremony of the Shangqing Palace unexpectedly even the powerhouses of other big states have come. Swish. 2 figures appeared in the teleportation array on the 3rd floor. Cross-state teleportation is usually the powerhouse of the 3rd-order emperor and even the 4th-order emperor. However, as long as the opponent is not a 6th-order emperor, then this oil and water money can be obtained. This time, the emperor in black in the City Lord's mansion greeted him personally. Transportation across the state, 1,000 sacred stones. The emperor in black has a gentle voice. Although he is in a high position, he still needs respect for those powerful emperors. In the teleportation array, there are 2 people, one old and one young. It was also the first time for the 2 of them to come to Liuju. Before the teleportation formation was set, they heard 1,000 sacred stones, and they were a little confused for a while. Sacred stone? What is that thing? The 2 are Yang Sanmu and Jian Wushuang from Yuanyang Lake. The black-clothed emperor was a little surprised seeing the expressions of the 2. The sacred stone didn't know how these 2 people entered the teleportation formation. With a move of supernatural power, he looked up and down. The strength of the old can't be seen through, and the origin of the young is the emperor, but the aura is a Taoist. Strange. These 2 people are very strange. However, the emperor in black, as a member of the City Lord's mansion, was backed by the White Tiger Temple. Naturally, he was not afraid at all, and immediately sent the City Lord's mansion. This fellow Daoist, are you joking? I don't know how the stone, how do you sit on the teleportation formation? The black-clothed emperor's voice is getting colder. Many people outside the teleportation array also leaked surprised expressions. These two are going to be unlucky. The teleportation array is not from the City Lord's mansion, but from the temple. No one dares to provoke the majesty of the temple. The Sixth Order Emperor will not work either. Humph. The old man with horns had a weird temper. Seeing that the other party was so disrespectful, he wanted to do it now. He is a Fifth Order peak emperor, and he is also an emperor who is good at refining the most treasures. His identity can be comparable to that of a Sixth Order emperor. At the beginning, even the masters of the universe were very polite to him. Now a little Third Order emperor dared to be so disrespectful. The emperor in black obviously also felt the threat, and immediately shouted bold. As soon as the voice fell, the person has not yet retreated. The old man with horns shook his claws, and a towering palm directly pinched the black emperor. Such a violent aura instantly shook the entire teleportation formation, and even affected the formation of the teleportation formation. It's over. Many people hurriedly backed away and watched from a distance. They decided that these two must be finished, and they even dared to do something against the Emperor in the City Lord Mansion on the teleportation array. Haha. Several figures sprang out, each of them dressed in silver robes. This is the Emperor team stationed here in the White Tiger Palace. The leader is the Fifth Order Emperor, and the weakest ones are the Fourth Order peaks, with a total of 9 people. At the same time, the Emperor of the City Lord's mansion also rushed over. Such a big movement directly alarmed the City Lord. He took 3 Fourth Order Emperors, plus he was 4. In an instant, in the city of Sholuo, the strongest emperors have gathered. You are so courageous, how dare you be presumptuous here? The Fifth Order Emperor headed by him wore a golden robe. This is the deacon of the outer hall of the White Tiger Palace, the fighting power of the Fifth Order Emperor. In addition to the main hall of the White Tiger Hall, there are countless outer halls. There are 3 halls divided into heaven, earth and people. Sholuo City is the Earth Hall, and the Fifth Order Genie Emperor sits here. In the entire Liuzhu, there is only one temple, not in Sholuo City. In the temple there are purple-clothed elders, the Sixth Order Emperor, the strongest group of people in the 4 secret realms. He is also the person with the highest status. There are several White Tiger temples in the entire northern border, and there is one in Liuzhu, which is just close to Zhongzhou. The deacon in golden clothes was a Fifth Order Emperor, and he was of the same rank as the old man with horns, but his combat power was very different. Just like ordinary 9-rank Dian Immortal and Jian Wushuang. Too much difference. Hehe, your White Tiger Palace is really such a powerful official. The old man with horns had cold eyes. The entire Northern Territory has now been assigned to the Palace of the Elders by the True Spirit, and the White Tiger Palace should also be removed from this place in the future. Standing behind the old man, Jian Wushuang was shocked when he saw the old man with horns doing his hands for the first time. He doesn't worry about what these people dare to do. The Senate Palace, like the White Tiger Palace, is the core force of the Chishan Palace, and no one will embarrass them. Those who provoke the temple, cut. Emperor Genie drew out a long knife and cut through the space with one knife. The rest of the emperors also rushed up with so many emperors fighting. Even if Sholuo City is strong, it will probably be half damaged. The city owner's face was solemn. I haven't encountered this kind of stunned green for many years, so why did he encounter it? Once the great formation of Sholuo City is damaged, it may not be here anymore. The reason why Sholuo City can be ranked in the top 3 in Liuzhu is because of this great formation. Under the recommendation, the app one I'm using recently, both Android and iPhone support. Boom boom boom. Countless groups of divine power were turned into a little by the old man of horns, and then lightly took out a red gourd from his waist and put them all into it. In the sky, only dilapidated space was left, but the surrounding area was not damaged at all. Tell the Elder Fire, come to Sholuo City quickly, and suspect that you have encountered a Sixth Order Emperor. The Genie Emperor has a grim expression. Text download address, phone reading. Chapter 5304. This time I didn't know that the other party was going to end it. Anyway, he was going to end it. He actually encountered a Sixth Order Emperor. If the other party really dissatisfied with the temple and killed him casually, There was no place to reason at the time. If there is not much time, I have to teach you a lesson. The old man with horns snorted coldly. This time there are only 2 days, so hurry up and go to the nearby ancient sect to bring Jian Wushuang to see, and then you have to go back. Let's go. The horned old man took out the ancient boat and boarded the ancient boat with Jian Wushuang. Just as he was about to leave, the space in Sholuo City shook, and an extraordinary existence descended on him. Venerable fire. Wherever it went, the flame rose. An illusory human face appeared in the sky, staring at the old man with horns and Jian Wushuang. Brother Three Eyes, long time no see. The fiery face in the sky, with a majestic voice, vibrated everywhere when speaking. If the majesty is lowered, I am afraid that the entire city of Sharo will be destroyed. The old man with horns grinned, raised his finger to the sky, and said excitedly, Jiao Hua, you are still alive. Jian Wushuang breathed a sigh of relief when he heard the words. These 4 great secret realms, really strong like clouds, they just came to Sholuo City, they met one. Of course, if it weren't for them, I'm afraid it wouldn't be so easy to meet a 6th-order emperor. Emperor Genie was a little stunned, listening to the words of the old man with horns. It seemed that the other party knew Venerable Blaze. The human face in the sky is a form of venerable blazing fire. People have already descended before they reach the form. After almost a breath, the deity is considered to have rushed over. Looking at it from a close distance, Venerable Fire is wearing a purple robe, his head is red, and his face is rough. Ha ha ha, you are still alive, how am I willing to die? Venerable Fire's face and temper were very bold. Yes, you've been in the heaven back then and haven't settled in the tomb of the gods. The old man with horns sighed. The two had known each other in the ancient times. At that time, they were both the 5th-order emperor. Now Lihua Venerable has already existed in the 6th order, and he is also the main hall of the White Tiger Palace. The old man of Shofar is still the 5th rank, named in the Palace of the Old, and the identity of the old man is the same. Venerable Fire stepped onto the ancient boat, patted the old man with horns on the shoulder again, and said excitedly, Go, where do I go first? We two have been away for too long. Here. The old man with horns pointed at those emperors. Venerable Agni turned his gaze to the emperors, and said coldly, Today's matter, it is assumed that it has never happened, understand? Yes. Genie Emperor, sweating profusely, bowed quickly. The rest of the emperors didn't even dare to take a breath, but this was the palace master of the heavenly palace, the 6th-order emperor, and they could kill them with a single breath. In the entire northern border, who would dare to resist? Agni, I came here with a task. The old man Yang Jiao also wanted to share the old with this old friend, but with Jian Wushuang beside him, he patted his chest and made a promise in front of Wu Zhuo. Jian Wushuang said wittily at the moment, Senior Sheep, you can do it yourself, I can do it alone. It would be nice if he could come. It would be fine to go around in Sharo City by himself, and there was no need to let the old horned man accompany him. When Venerable Fire heard this, he looked at Jian Wushuang. As a 6th-order emperor, what a vision he can see the difference between Jian Wushuang at a glance. 9 ranks die an immortal, the origin is more than a lot of emperors. And the breath is different from the practitioners in the 4 great secret realms. Is this the inheritor? The Emperor Lihua said in a voice transmission. He is not easy to tell the matter of the inheritor, so he can only transmit the sound to the old man with horns. This was an order issued by the White Tiger General Hall. Although he was a 6th-order emperor, he did not dare to defy the White Tiger General Hall. Yes. It's not an ordinary inheritor. Brother Wu Zhuo ordered me to take him around in the northern realm, and he must be sent back to the primitive realm in 2 days. The old horned man replied. Venerable Agni shuddered after hearing Wu Zhuo's name. That existence, the status is much higher than him, is a named disciple of the of God, his special order, dare not violate. After Venerable Burning Fire personally bid farewell, Jian Wushuang and the old man with horns left Sholuo City on the ancient boat. The strong onlookers, although they don't know what they said, they can also understand that the identities of these 2 individuals are extraordinary and their strength is extremely powerful. Looking at the departure direction of the old man with horns, Li Hua's face also became cold, turning his head to look at the golden-clothed emperor. Be low-key in doing things in the future. I won't be so easy to talk next time. After speaking, he flashed away and left here. He wasn't talking about threats, but the entire heaven realm would change in the future. The White Tiger Palace is not the only one. He knew about the entry of the Senate Palace, and there would be a large number of inheritors in the future, and those inheritors who were screened out would settle in the secret realm of the heavens in the future. No matter how rampant it is, the main hall will definitely set a penalty. Things ended. Emperor Genie led people away in a desperate manner, and the Lord of Sholuo City was always marginalized from beginning to end, and no one mentioned it at all. This is also a kind of sadness. This kind of dispute is resolved by the White Tiger Palace, and it is not his turn to speak, but then again, there is no White Tiger Palace. Today, even if the old city lord is here, I am afraid it will be difficult to settle. After dispersing, the crowd of onlookers also began to disperse. The young master named Wei Liang's eyes changed. I planned to visit the city lord at the city lord's mansion, but now it seems that this is unnecessary, so let's go directly to the Shangqing Palace. The mood of the city lord is probably not very good now, and they will also be closed doors when they visit. If it were normal, the city owner would like to receive some of the leaders of the younger generation in Liuju. After young master Wei Liang hurried away with someone, the man surnamed Nai with the broken sword on his back also took him away. Like them, there are several teams, all heading towards one place. Uncle Nai, who is the powerful purple-clothed man just now? The Qingluo girl asked curiously on the Iya Bianzhou. Now most people are also discussing the matter just now. After all, the journey is far away, and there is no way to concentrate on cultivation on the road, so I started to talk about the matter just now. Nai Yuan's eyes were deep and haggard, which may be related to his broken sword. However, after hearing the girl's curiosity, she still leaked a little smile, and faintly replied, "That person who exists is the strongest person in our Liuju, the Lord of the Temple of Heaven, Lord Blaze. Better than the Venerable of Shangqing Palace?" The girl was surprised. After Nai Yuan heard the word Venerable Shangqing Palace, his eyes were cold and his whole body seemed to have changed, and his arms trembled a little. At this time, the majestic and prestige passed, and it was considered clear. Nai Yuan not only broke his sword, but also his left arm. In the end he just shook his head and said nothing more. On Jian Wushuang's side, facing the old man with horns, sat in the short pavilion of Jiyuju. Looking around all the way, the scene here is not too different from the outside world. There are many sects, but some mortals are missing, or there are no mortals at all. At this time, in his hand, there was an extra yellowed ancient book, which recorded various secrets of the secret realm of heaven. Text download address, phone reading. Chapter 5305. Boy, this time we are going to the Shangqing Palace. It is recorded that the Shangqing Palace, this ancient sect, is very famous in the four secret realms. Since the beginning of the sect, 2 sixth-order emperors have been born, among them Shangqing Taoists. It is also the existence of the sixth-order peak. The current palace lord is also a sixth-order existence. Although the strength is not as good as the founding ancestor, the potential is the number one in the north, and there is still a lot of upper body space. Hearing a series of introductions from the old man Yang Horn, Jian Wushuang opened the book and looked up the relevant records of the Shangqing Palace. Taoists of Shangqing, starting at the very end, creating the palace of the Qing dynasty, practicing swords up and down, are the supreme swordsmanship. He went to the tomb of the gods and was assigned to the third prison for 100 epochs. After his release, he returned to the Shangqing Palace after preaching for hundreds of millions of years in the secret realm of the human world. Venerable Yuqing, the current palace lord, the swordsman, is the sixth-generation leader of the Shangqing Palace, rising 100,000 years ago. The record of the deeds of the Shangqing Palace is less than half a page. However, using swords up and down aroused his interest. According to records, the Shangqing Palace, every epoch will open a mountain, and the Dianxian from the northern realm and even the entire celestial realm will be invited to the Shangqing Palace to watch the sword tide. Every sword tide will attract many powerful people, and even some fifth-order emperors will go. This time, Jian Wushuang was also lucky, and happened to encounter the sword tide of this era. He wants to see how this sword tide is. He is also the ultimate way. In this aspect of kendo, he has been pursuing it. Dacu is seldom better than him. On Primordial Star, he has not been able to meet a kendo expert. This time, I can observe how strong the ancient swordsmanship is. Jiu Ju accelerated at full speed, and it only took a quarter of an hour to reach the Shangqing Palace. At the beginning, the teleportation formation was established in Sholuo City because of the Shangqing Palace. Along the way, Jian Wushuang and the others also met a lot of fellow travelers. All of them were going to the Shangqing Palace. Most of them are some third-order emperors with a group of juniors. Rarely encountered the fourth-order emperor. As for the fifth-order emperor, it was none of them. The speed of the ancient boat is beyond the reach of everyone. After all, it is the eternal treasure, although this is one of the 4 secret realms. But the eternal treasure is also rare here. Under the fifth-order emperor, few people have the eternal treasure. When everyone saw the ancient boat Jian Wushuang was riding in, they all gave way. The person who can ride the eternal treasure must be a big person. There are famous people throughout the Northern Territory. Whoosh! The scenery in front of me changed. Jian Wushuang slowly got up, came to the forefront of the ancient boat, and stood shoulder to shoulder with the puppet fisherman. The outline of the Shangqing Palace can already be seen. A majestic mountain range stretches for hundreds of millions of miles, with no end in sight. On the main peak, a huge waterfall can be seen clearly from a distance. As it gets closer, the appearance of the Shangqing Palace becomes clearer. Jiu Ju suddenly stopped, and an enchantment appeared in front of him. At this time, there were many people floating outside the barrier. The disciples and elders of the Shangqing Palace each received the strong from other sects. When I saw Jiu Ju, an elder from the Shangqing Palace changed his complexion and hurriedly transmitted his voice. After a while, a middle-aged man in a pale yellow robe teleported from the barrier. Look, it's Elder 9 Swords of the Shangqing Palace. Many people looked at the place where the sound came from. The 9 Swords of Shangqing, the 9 Great Elders. Each of them is a fifth-order emperor, and the powerhouse of the Shangqing Palace is not only supported by a sixth-order emperor. The most famous of the Shangqing Palace is the 9 Swords among the emperors and the 13 Taie Sword among the Taoists. They are almost invincible powerhouses of the same level. In particular, the 13 Taie Swords among the Taoist monarchs, each of them comparable to the emperor's strong, are the origin of cultivating swordsmanship. Their combat power is extremely strong, and there are few rivals in the same rank. The reason for attracting so many Taoists to come is to challenge the sword Tianjiao of the 13 Taie Giant while watching the sword tide. Elder 9 Swords flickered, came to the front of Jiu Ju, bowed and said, "But Senior Goat is here." "Oh, do you know me?" The old man with horns was a little surprised. Although he had heard of the Shangqing Palace, he didn't know them. "It is Venerable Blaze who is calling my palace lord, and the younger generation is here to greet him." Elder 9 Swords is extremely respectful. After all, the person in front of him has a lot to do with Venerable Agni. In the whole Liuju, the strongest person is not well received, but the top 2 are definitely Venerable Agni. The remaining one is the ancestor of the Shangqing dynasty. A person comparable to the ancestor, how dare they to neglect, although they only passed a word, they still received each other according to the highest standards. The old man Young Horn took Jian Wushuang off the ancient boat and nodded. This is different from Agni's temperament. The previous Agni was not so careful. It seems that many people have changed over the years. All this, the sheep's 3 eyes are blamed on the White Tiger Hall. If it was before, he would still awe at the White Tiger Temple, but now it is hard to say. If it sounds good, it is a group of puppets, and if it sounds bad, it is the in power. Really speaking of strength, the White Tiger Palace has few, even the 6th-order emperors, and they are all puppets. That is to say, with the name of the of disagreement, so many powerhouses have been recruited. "Senior, go here." Elder 9 Swords led the 2 of them through the barrier. The scene before him became more real, and this mountain range was simply the world in Jian Wushuang's dream. The fragrance of birds and flowers, like a fairyland. This is different from what is recorded in that book. The book says that the north is so wild, and now it seems to be very good. If this is considered wild, what is the original universe outside? Many of the many territories encountered on the road are worse than Yuanyang Lake, and the worst is that the training site is not as good as Yuanyang Lake. Senior Sheep, fellow Wushuang Daoist, the Chow Chow Pavilion is in front of you. The location has been arranged, please take a seat, Elder Zhu Jian said. Jian Wushuang looked over, and the entire Guanchao Pavilion was extremely vast, and now many people were seated. Well, thanks a lot. The old man with horns held his identity. Jian Wushuang was not as arrogant as he, and quickly thanked him. The seats are in the first row, next to the palace lord of the Shangqing Palace. The fifth-order emperors were seated on the side, and those Taoists were not qualified to be seated in the first row. Even the young masters were in the second row. Jian Wushuang's position was next to the old man Yangjiao, and he was only a Dayan immortal in the first row. After seated, many people looked over. Who is this person? Even if Elder Nine Swords received him personally, a Taoist monarch actually sat in the first row. Many fourth-order emperors are sitting in the second row, and those sitting in the first row are not fifth-order emperors, or some famous emperors. The weakest are the fourth-order emperors, and now they are sitting side by side with a Taoist monarch. Moreover, the position where the Taoist monarch was seated was so close to the palace lord of the Shangqing Palace. For a time, it caused a lot of commotion. Although there were doubts, no one dared to reprimand in person. After all, it was an arrangement of the Shangqing Palace, and they were just guests. Text download address, phone reading. Chapter 5306. Watching the Tide Pavilion. Watching the sword tide, but also watching the tide, and more about the world. In the current Guanchao Pavilion, there are tens of thousands of emperors and powerhouses who have come from afar, as well as some younger generations of the Taoist level. They are all Taoists or emperors of various sects. In the future, he will step into the emperor level. In the ancient times, there was a complete combination of Taoism. As long as one stepped into the Taoist level, almost all of them were able to succeed in combination. But for the record of the ultimate way, there is no information. This may have something to do with what the old horned man said. After all, the acquired and the innate are heaven and earth. Not to mention, what he mastered was not only the ultimate way, but also the extreme way that was more against the sky. There was one thing that made him extremely curious. Many of these Dao monarchs were half-step emperors, and there were even emperors in the Shangqing Palace. These people are not the ultimate way. How can the fighting power be so terrible? It didn't take long for the two of them to sit down, and the discussion in the back row also stopped. Many emperors had just arrived from the city of Sholuo. Knowing that Jian Wushuang and the others were unusually identities, no one dared to say anything after they had said things in the city of Sholuo. The temple is an inviolable existence in the four secret realms, and the person who can have a relationship with the temple must not be a simple person. No wonder the Shangqing Palace sent Elder Nine Swords to greet him personally, and he was so polite. Liu's house comprehensive strength is also the top rank in the northern boundary, otherwise the White Tiger Palace would not set up a temple here, letting Venerable Blaze personally suppress it. There are only 5 rank 6 powerhouses in Liuju. There are hundreds of tier 5 powerhouses. Such a huge force is stronger than the entire primitive universe. If all the forces in the Temple of Chishan are concentrated together, in this long river of time and space, there will be a large number of powerful forces. In the long river of time and space, countless universes coexist. The strong ones who can step out of the universe are at least the third-order emperors, and the strong ones are the fifth-order or even the sixth-order emperors. However, most of the emperors in the outside world are strong in origin, but they are quite weak in the treasures. The strong point of the Chishan temple is that it has many inheritance and treasures, but its weaknesses are also obvious. The indigenous strong people in the Chishan temple are all born from the origin of the Chishan. Although the origin of the Chishan is much stronger than the origin of the universe, it is not the origin that breeds the strong after all, so the strong that is bred is inherently weaker than the outside world in terms of origin. This is also the weird place where many emperors watch Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang's current original aura is much stronger than ordinary aboriginal emperors, but his realm and inheritance are much worse. Especially the divine body. In the 4 secret realms, there are many people who follow the divine body genre. When they were in the Taoist monarch, they had 7,000 to 8,000 times the divine body. Once the synergy is successful, there will be a millionfold divine body. And there are secret methods for the inheritance of the divine body, which can be practiced at the emperor level, and can further increase the divine body. Jian Wushuang randomly scanned among these people, and found a lot of divine body practitioners. Their auras were obviously different from others. In particular, a Taoist-level powerhouse not far behind him, his divine body has 9,000 times. He is a powerhouse who has reached the edge of harmony. Jian Wushuang felt a lot of pressure with the slight movement of his mind. On the other side, there is a divine body with a surpassing 10,000 existence. The strong man in his consciousness is like a mountain, but he is just a sapling. Although he didn't know the specific divine body multiple, Jian Wushuang guessed that the opponent definitely had 20,000 times the divine body. Otherwise, the pressure on him would not be so great. The ancient sect is indeed extraordinary. The strongest special life in the outside world is only 10,000 times. Even if it is the emperor, I am afraid it is not so strong. Jian Wushuang shook his head. People are more popular than dead. There were things he admired in the ancient times, but the indigenous powerhouses of the Chishan temple, if they knew how powerful the source of the outside world was, they would also envy them. A group of strong people pushed their cups and changed their cups and talked about each other. Jian Wushuang and the old man Yang Jiao were panicked. According to the process, you can watch the tide in the afternoon, and watch the sword tide at midnight. Jian Wushuang sat in his seat, flipping through an ancient book in the Northern Territory Unknown Records, and reading while drinking. The old man with horns was a strong man in ancient times. He was not interested in these things, and he didn't want to take care of others, so he was alone. Sitting there with closed eyes rested. When others saw him, they didn't dare to talk to him. The first row, hundreds of positions, only half of the strong. It seems that there are still many big people who have not yet arrived. Jian Wushuang was not in a hurry either. The rows in the rear are almost full. Among them is the frivolous young master Wei Liang. His position is not ordinary, but he only sat in the 3rd row, sitting with the 3rd order emperor named Garao. Somewhat surprisingly, the middle-aged man named Nai, who had one arm and a broken sword, sat in the 5th row. There are 5 rows in the Guanchao pavilion. The first row is full of big-faced people, and the second row is full of leaders of various sects, not 4th order emperors, but also some 3rd order emperors with great potential and some Taoists who are comparable to emperors. Most of the people sitting in the 3rd row were like Wei Liang, the young master of the sect, and the 3rd order emperor Strong. In the 4th row, there are some casual cultivators, ordinary emperors, sitting with some Taoists. As for the 5th row, there is not even a monarch, many of them are saints. The Shangqing Palace is famous for its swords. Every year, it will take special care of those who are strong in casual swordsmanship. Invite some more powerful Taoists to watch the sword tide and leave a good relationship. If you become an emperor in the future, you can also come to the Shangqing Palace to hang out. An outside deacon. Of course, it all depends on strength. If a 6th order emperor can appear in these loose cultivators, they will not waste their good intentions. I still have the face to come back. Sitting in the 1st row, a tier 5 mighty man wearing a golden sword robe, his eyes revealed anger, and his tone was extremely cold. Jian Wushuang was so close to him that he could hear it. In fact, the strong man deliberately let it go, and the people in the back rows could also hear it clearly. After hearing it, many people turned their heads and looked. Seeing this, many people should know it. Jian Wushuang was so boring alone, he pricked his ears to listen to the comments of the people next to him. Thanks Tusk, Nai Yuan dared to come to the Shangqing Palace. Didn't he say that he was cut off from the Shangqing Palace? Hehe, you don't know about that. After the demon girl fell, Nai Yuan's life in Paragon was not easy anymore, and his strength plummeted again, and Paramorn wouldn't give him a good face. A door-to-door son-in-law who also killed the saint of Paramorn, what kind of face can he give him? Someone sitting in the first row shook his head and sighed while listening to the discussion behind him. Time and fate, what a good seedling, what a pity. The Fifth Order Emperor in the golden sword robe also had a trace of regret in his eyes, but he snorted coldly when he thought of the ridiculous things Nai Yuan had done. Text download address, phone reading. Chapter 5307. It turned out that the man with one-armed sword was also a sword repairman in the Shangqing Palace. He was originally gifted and unfeeling, and moved across the northern realm of the monarchy. He was the first person in the younger generation of the Shangqing Palace. Later, he succeeded in joining the Dao, and he had the power of the Third Order Peak Emperor, and the Fourth Order Emperor was only a step away. At the beginning, everyone thought that he was the man who carried the tripod of the Shangqing Palace in the future, and the Fifth Order Emperor was only a matter of time, and he was expected to aspire to the Sixth Order. Moreover, his origin is very powerful, and he can kill the Emperor when he is a prince. The Third Order Peak can crush the Fourth Order Emperor. Kendo is a practice of 10,000 kendo, and no one of the same rank dares to fight with one sword. Such a strong person will eventually end up like this. Witch. Saint. Paragon. All of this seemed to be related to that woman. Nai Yuan. Jian Wushuang once saw it in Sholuo City, because he was carrying a broken sword, which was very conspicuous to him as a sword repairman. When I first saw him, I just took another look. It was just that he was absolutely decadent, and he didn't look like a sword repairer, so he didn't care much. Unexpectedly, he still had such encounters. It's a pity. Wow. Jian Wushuang turned his head, and the old man with horns was sitting on his right. When he turned to the right, I heard that it was the position of the palace lord of the Shangqing Palace, and no one had been seated on his left. Now a young man with a rolling sword robe sat steadily. The visitor Jian Wushuang knew him, and he received them as Elder Nine Swords. Elder Nine Swords is the youngest person in the contemporary Nine Swords of the Shangqing Palace, with great potential, and he is also the pinnacle powerhouse among the Fifth Order Emperors. Moreover, it is rumored that this Elder of the Nine Swords is expected to become the world's sword master in the future and inherit the position of the palace master of the Shangqing Palace. If it were not for Jian Wushuang and the old man Yang Jiao's sudden visit, I am afraid that this person is next to the position of the Shangqing Palace Lord. Elder Nine Swords. Jian Wushuang held his fists to meet him, thanking him for receiving him. Friend Wushuang, don't have to be so polite. It is our blessing that you and Senior Yang can come to the Qing Palace. Elder Zhoujian is very restrained and low-key. If it were others, no matter how strong Jian Wushuang's background was, he wouldn't be so polite. The key Jian Wushuang also has no background. He is just an ordinary inheritor, so he was lucky. He was valued by Shan Jun. He self-defeatingly created the 10th chain of the physical body and obtained the of Jade gifted by the true spirit. Bored. Then he got the appreciation of Wu Zuo, and he followed the old man with horns, the Fifth Order Peak Emperor, whose strength was unfathomable and there were many outrageous treasures. Despite this reason, he did not feel that he could sit with the Fifth Order Emperor or even the Sixth Order Emperor. In the primitive universe, a Fourth Order Emperor in Jin Wuyang is a whole sky, let alone these people. I think Wushuang Daoist is also a sword repairer, and the origin is so strong, I don't know where it comes from. Elder Zhoujian asked. In fact, he has always had doubts in his heart. He couldn't see the origin of Jian Wushuang, but the leaked aura told him that he definitely possessed the power of the emperor, but Jian Wushuang's realm was only 9th rank. This is very strange. And the palace lord also told him that he must be careful to receive these two, not only because of Venerable Agni. In Liuju, though Venerable Agni is domineering, he has not yet overwhelmed them. The ancestor of the Shangqing dynasty, the strength is equal to that of Venerable Fire, and even a little stronger. It doesn't make sense to be so careful because of the words of Venerable Fire. He also took this opportunity to test out Jian Wushuang's details. Jian Wushuang heard the question from Elder Zhoujian, and didn't know how to answer for a while. He couldn't say that he came from another universe, right? When he was tangled, the old man with horns raised his eyebrows and said to him, "Tell him you are from the Tomb Mountain." Tomb God Mountain? What place is this? Before he could think about it, he replied, I am from the secret realm of the tomb of the gods, the mountain of the tombs. Jian Wushuang's voice is not too high, but everyone here, who is not a person with ears and eyes, has heard the 3 words Tomb Mountain. Tomb Mountain. Elder Nine Swords, forbearing the shocked look on his face. Among the 4 great secret realms, it is said that the heaven is the head, but when it comes to top combat power, it should be regarded as the secret realm of the tomb of the gods. Legend has it that the 4 great secret realms are all built by the Tomb Mountain, where a true god, the of creation, is sleeping there. And White Tiger Hall is the guard of the true god. There are also the legendary spirit guards, each of whom has the power to reach the sky, and can kill the existence of the 6th Order Emperor. These legends, many emperors know, especially for the Tomb Mountain, which is more powerful than the temple. At the beginning, countless people went to the tomb of the gods one after another, but also to go to the mountain of the tomb to find out. It is a pity that no one has been able to go to the Tomb Mountain. Most of them have fallen halfway, whether it is a 5th Order Emperor or a 6th Order Emperor, there is no survivor. Jian Wushuang saw their shocked expressions, and then turned to look at the old man with horns. It turned out to be like this. You inheritors, when you enter the 4 secret realms in the future, you will all go to the Tomb Mountain, and then you will be stationed in the White Tiger Palace Senate Palace, but in terms of name, you are from the Tomb Mountain. The old man Yang Jiao explained. Jian Wushuang asked through voice transmission, Senior, what is there on the Tomb Mountain? Is it really the place where the gods sit and transform? The old man with horns just shook his head silently. He really didn't know. Perhaps only the master of the 4 halls will know the hidden secrets. These people are the core of the Temple of Discord. Although the true spirit is the controller, he is only a subsequent evolution. Many funerals in the past, the gods of the gods were handed over to the 4 halls. This is also what the 4 halls have been pursuing the gods of the gods. Command, the reason for daring to challenge the real spirit. It's just that now the power of the 4 halls has begun to decline, and the true spirit is the only controller. Elder Nine Swords originally thought Jian Wushuang, perhaps a senior in the White Tiger Hall, came from the mysterious Tomb Mountain. For a while, he became more restrained and humble, and he didn't dare to show the slightest air. When some other emperors looked at him, they also showed envy. No wonder the Taoist monarch is so powerful and able to make the Shangqing Palace treat so politely. He turned out to be from the Tomb Mountain. These people were okay, and they calmed down after a while. In recent years, there has been a lot of news about the Tomb Mountain, and many powerful creatures have also emerged from the tomb, and they have also reached the secret realm of the heavens. But those people, the terrifying strength of each body, are all special beings, and their strength is the top wave of people among the 6th Order Emperors. For people from the secret realm of the Tomb of the Gods, they all have a kind of fear and worry, especially the mountain of the tomb. Nai Yuan, who was sitting in the last row, also heard the 3 words Tomb Mountain. His eyes changed immediately and he stood up directly. Tomb God Mountain. He was also a direct descendant of the ancient sect of Shangqing Palace, so he naturally heard about the Tomb Mountain. Text download address, phone reading. Chapter 5308. He is not interested in the mystery on the Tomb God Mountain, but there is a legend in it that he has been asking for verification. That is reversing time and space and resurrecting those who have fallen. One-armed Nai Yuan stepped forward and walked directly towards Jian Wushuang's position. The old man with horns, feeling threatened at the moment, the strange emperor suddenly rushed towards Jian Wushuang, immediately made his breath soar and stopped the people coming. Boom! Nai Yuan's breath was a bit messy and anxious, and he didn't intend to kill, so the old man with horns didn't kill him, but he also slightly punished him directly. The 4th Order Emperor actually pretended to be the 3rd Order. The old man with horns shook the void and directly suppressed Nai Yuan to his knees. Jian Wushuang calmly stood up slowly. He also didn't understand it a bit, and he didn't seem to know this one-armed man. There is only one side, why is it suddenly rushing towards him? Is it because of the Tomb Mountain? Elder Nine Swords stood aside, his expression a little embarrassed. His reaction was not as good as that of the old horned man. Although they were all peak emperors, there were still some gaps. However, He did not expect that there would be people here who would dare to be so bold and disturb the distinguished guests of the Shangqing Palace. Na Yuan, you are so courageous. Don't hurry up and apologize for disturbing the distinguished guests of the Shangqing Palace. Although the tone of Elder Zhou was cold, but the words were clear, the apology would solve it. Speaking of it, he is still Na Yuan's uncle. He was also the first person in the contemporary era, and then he was Na Yuan. How happy he was at that time. With an outstanding descendant, the Shangqing Palace will be even stronger in the future. But what he didn't expect was that such a dazzling Tianjiao, in the end, because of a demon girl, he broke off from Shangqing Palace and entered the Beiluomen, a small mountain gate that even the Sixth Order Emperor did not have. Not only did the Shangqing Palace be ashamed, but also such a good kendo embryo was wasted in vain. Na Yuan's eyes were sunken and he was very lonely. He once bowed his head with the sword, but at this moment he would rather bow his head for the woman in his heart. Jian Wushuang knew that the other party was not malicious, so he pressed his hand and said, "Senior Yang, forget it, I think this fellow Taoist is not malicious." "Don't thank Daoist Wushuang too much," Elder Zhou said coldly. "Thank you, fellow Daoist, I was really a little bit reckless just now." "No problem." Jian Wushuang waved his hand. This matter was really not a big deal, and he was also taken aback by the behavior of the old man with horns. In his opinion, there is really no need for such a riot. He didn't know, but the true spirit had clearly ordered him to be sent to the primitive realm intact, and Wuz will let the old horned man take care of him, and the old horned man would be responsible for any problems. Although Yang Sanmu is a veteran of the A character, Wuz was anger can bear, but where the real spirit is, he doesn't have the slightest face. I won't be so easy to talk next time." The old man with horns put his palms away, and his momentum receded. Na Yuan wiped off the blood that overflowed from the corner of his mouth and stood up. "This fellow Daoist, I don't know if you can answer me a question." After Na Yuan stood up, he asked such a ridiculous question. This caused the rest of the people to take a breath. "I didn't kill him just now, probably because of the Shangqing Palace." Even if he was expelled from the Shangqing Palace, he was still the leader of the Shangqing Palace, the leader of the previous generation. It is really impossible to justify killing him in public or just because of the collision. However, it's a bit exaggerated now, and I have to ask any questions inch by inch. Before Jian Wushuang and the old man Yang Jiao answered, Elder Zhou became angry and said angrily, "Arrogant." The eyes of the old man with horns also went cold, and for a while, his sword was tense. Jian Wushuang standing in the middle didn't know what to say for a while. He didn't know what Na Yuan wanted to ask, even if he did, he might not know. "Friend Wushuang, I'm really embarrassed this time, but don't worry, I will personally drive this person out." Elder Zhou took a step forward and was ready to do it now. Jian Wushuang reached out his hand to stop him, and said calmly, "No need. This fellow Taoist, just say what you want to ask." Na Yuan was overjoyed when he heard this, and hurriedly asked, "On the Tomb God Mountain, can you really reverse time and space and bring the dead back to life?" This. Jian Wushuang hadn't answered yet, but the old horned man on the side spoke first. "Yes. But you have to be able to go up." "Yes." Jian Wushuang also followed. To be honest, he didn't know, but when the old horned man had spoken, he also said, "Reverse time and space. It seems to be to resurrect the Taoist couple." Infatuation. After Jian Wushuang understood the other party's thoughts, he was also a little admired. When Na Yuan heard that he wanted an answer, his whole body changed. The original decadent aura faded, and a brand new aura erupted from him. Fourth Order Emperor. At this time, other talents reacted. Na Yuan had already stepped into Tier 4, and at this moment, he directly exposed the aura of Tier 4 peak. "Uncle Nai." The Qingluo girl sitting in the last row, looked at the uncle who had been melancholy, renewed her former style, and was happy for him from the bottom of her heart. After being seated again, Elder Zhou had been talking with Jian Wushuang about the past in Liuju, and Jian Wushuang was also very interesting. In the dark, he was communicating with the old man with horns. "Senior, is it true to reverse time and space? Why, do you also have a Taoist companion to resurrect?" Jian Wushuang smiled awkwardly, and then said, No, I am more curious about the reversal of time and space. As far as I know, time and space contain the two origins of space and time, and the origin of space is fairly common. It is the origin of emperor's cultivation. What about the origin of time? How come I have never seen any related records? You kid understands a lot. The origin of space is related to the realm of the emperor. Once you have successfully controlled it, you will step into another realm. The other realm is the origin of time. Your current strength, you read www.ukanshu.com does not need to know the origin of time. Wait until you reach the sixth order emperor first. The old man with horns smiled slightly. In fact, he didn't know much. He didn't understand the origin of space, let alone time. That is what the gods are working on. Jian Wushuang was unwilling to give up, and then asked, Senior, if time and space can be reversed on Tomb God Mountain, why did you tell Nai Yuan? It's not because of resonance. After he finished speaking, with a strange expression on his face, he turned to look at the old man with horns. You kid, guess what? I'm just absolutely pitiful. Give him a thought, but if he really has the strength to go to the Tomb Mountain, he really hopes to resurrect his Taoist companion, but in my opinion, it is very difficult. The sixth order emperor is just a threshold. The old man with horns commented. The sixth order emperor is the threshold. Jian Wushuang was not too surprised about this. After all, many sixth order emperors fell into the tomb of the gods, and even the Tomb Mountain was not found anywhere. Text download address, phone reading. Chapter 5309. In terms of the true size of the four secret realms, the Tomb of the Gods is much larger than the other three secret realms combined. No matter how fast the sixth order emperor is, without a teleportation formation, it is not easy to find the Tomb Mountain. Many of them were not found in the Tomb Mountain, and they fell in the middle of the journey. Jian Wushuang also knew a lot about the old man with horns. He was an old man with a knife-mouthed tofu heart. On the surface, he had the heart to kill Nai Yuan, but in fact, he gave the other party hope and gave him a goal to pursue again. The two are not in transmission. Jian Wushuang and Elder Zhu Jian also had a very happy conversation. Friend Wushuang, if you can afford it, just call me a friend, elders are nothing. Elder Zhou Jian picked up the wine glass and drank it in one gulp. Jian Wushuang was also a happy person, and immediately drank the drink, and the two almost knelt down and bowed to each other. Friend Wushuang, look, the tide is rising. Zhu Jian put down the wine glass and pointed at the lake. Sure enough, a ripple containing the spirit of heaven and earth gradually rose, shining with the sun and the moon. The horn sounded and the tide watching officially began. The tide starts at the foot of the mountain and stretches to the tide-watching pavilion on the mountainside. The scene is spectacular. Jian Wushuang saw this scene, but his complexion changed slightly. The Zhoujian elder on the side thought it was Jian Wushuang who hadn't seen such scenes, and was shocked. He also had a sense of pride in his heart. Even the people from the Tomb Mountain are shocked by this. Their reputation after going to the Qing Palace will have to rise to a higher level. In the past, it was only famous in the north, but in the future it will be famous in the four secret realms and become the super sect. Jian Wushuang was shocked, but not because of the shock of such a grand occasion, but because the rolling tide had something to do with the origin he had absorbed outside Qiu Huang's city. According to Qiu Huang, the origin of that one was a female sword immortal who left behind and pierced Qiu Huang's city with a sword. From the origin of that sword immortal, Jian Wushuang had seen the scene of that sword. It is very similar to the tide at this time. Sword qi rolls, sweeping the world. He will never forget that scene. Could it be that the sword fairy is still related to the Shangqing Palace? Jian Wushuang directly transmitted the sound of the old man with horns and asked about the female sword fairy who destroyed Qiu Huang city. You are talking about Yun Jiangxian. She belongs to the oldest group of strong men. She is terrifyingly strong. It can be said that she is the first person under the Divine Lord. I have nothing to do with her, and I don't know much. The old man Yang Horn was a little surprised. Jian Wushuang would ask him about Yun Zhenxian. Could it be that this little guy got the inheritance of Yun Zhenxian? It is also possible. When he entered the Temple of Chishan, at that time the whole Chishan line began to sing badly. Create the 4 halls and build the Chishan Hall. Yunjiangxian, Zheng is also the most beautiful. Under the command of Chishan, it can be said that he is the strongest person among the emperors. He has fought all his life, is cold and never hugs. The only person who is relatively close is the puppet created by a god, that is, the lord of the palace Zhu Yi. Before she fell, she gave all the treasures of her life to Zhu Yi. It's really possible for Jian Wushuang to get Yun Jiangxian's inheritance. Yun Zhenxian. Jian Wushuang remembered the name deeply. At the beginning of the tide watching, the lord of the Shangqing Palace visited in person. Many people stood up to respectfully worship. The contemporary sword master, although not the top in strength, has a very high reputation, even surpassing the ancestor of the Shangqing dynasty. It is also very good for those who are in casual cultivators, so the reputation of Shangqing Palace is very high in casual cultivators. Especially Jian Xiu, the Shangqing Palace gave a chance to watch the tide, which is a great favor. Everyone, the tide watching has begun. It's not more cramped, please take a seat. The lord of the Shangqing Palace, wearing a blue robe, used only a simple wooden branch for his hair, very hackberry. In his case, there is only a teapot, no drinks. Everyone sat down again and began to watch the tide, from which they could comprehend kendo. The old horned man and the palace lord of Shangqing were next to each other, and the two were chatting with each other. It looks like they don't know each other. The talk was also about Venerable Agni, or about the Senate Palace. The opponent is a 6th-order emperor, and he is also the lord of a sect, and he is also known as the sword master of the world. Although the old man with horns has a high posture, he does not dare to neglect. The tide gradually climbed, and the sword intent contained in it became stronger. In this lake, swords have been washed all the year round. I don't know how many divine swords have been washed. The sword intent contained in it is very mixed, and I can only experience one of them. Jian Wushuang looked carefully, but couldn't start. In the end, he just learned from it. What he cultivated was the ultimate swordsmanship, pursuing purity. The sword intent in this lake was too mixed and unsuitable. He could only learn from one of them, not more. The tide lasted for an hour, and finally climbed to the mountainside, and the sword intent reached the strongest moment. Many sword repairs broke through at this time. Especially the Taoist Tianjiao, many people have already made breakthroughs. Many people come here because they have reached a bottleneck and want to use the sense of sword in the lake while watching the tide to break through their origins. Especially those casual practitioners, they have the largest number of breakthroughs. The young girl in Qingluo sitting in the last row had a bright light in her eyes, and she also broke through, breaking through the 8th level of the origin in one fell swoop, stepping into the 9th level, having reached a perfect state, and her combat power has naturally skyrocketed. The young master named Wei Liang was sweating profusely at this time, and Elder Ge on the side had been guarding his surroundings and arranging a barrier for him, but unfortunately he still did not break through in the end. Damn it, it's just a little bit. Once I break through my original Dao, I will be completely consummated, and I will be able to join the Dao when I go back. Wei Liang was a little unwilling. Yanli evaporated the sweat on his forehead, and his face was very ugly. Elder Ge on the side, afraid of his mood change, comforted, "Young master, there is a sword tied behind, don't be discouraged. The sword intent contained in the tide is not much. And it's too complicated." When the Shangqing Palace was established, this lake was still a small spring. The ancestor of the Shangqing dynasty used to wash his sword here, and later he enlightened the place after he obtained the Dao. The sword repair in the Shangqing Palace also developed a habit of washing swords here. From ancient times to the present, I don't know how many epochs have passed. The washed sword can fill the lake. Because of the washing of the sword, there is a tide watching. As for the sword tide, it was all the disciples of the Shangqing Palace, unleashing the power of the source. The sword pierced the sky, from the top to the bottom of the mountain. Even the ancestor of the Qing dynasty would separate a strand of golden sword and follow the tide of swords. This is the most meaningful thing in the Shangqing Palace, and it will be held every epoch. One is to attract northern Tianjiao to watch the tide, and the other is to promote the power of Shangqing Palace. It can be regarded as a means to reveal strength. It is precisely because of this method that every year there will be countless sword repairs, squeezing their heads to enter the Shangqing Palace. At midnight, the temperature of the entire northern territory dropped suddenly. The slanting moon hung high, and a ray of golden sword light lit up from the top of the mountain. It's Jianming. Jian Wushuang cried secretly. The cold wind was violent, the golden sword light was shining, and the moment the sword rang with the sun and the moon, the entire mountain top lit up. The error-free chapters of Sword Sovereign of 10,000 Ways will continue to be updated in Shoba. There are no advertisements in the site. Please collect and recommend Shoba. If you like Wandao Sword Sovereign, please collect it. Wandao Sword Sovereign has the fastest update speed. Text download address, phone reading. Chapter 53:10. Countless long swords that radiated light rose into the air to accompany the golden long sword. Elder 9 swords on the side, and even the palace master of Shangqing raised one hand one after another. A ray of sword light burst out and rushed to the top of the mountain. In a short while, 109,000 swords of the Shangqing Palace gathered on the top of the mountain. Sword chi condensed, turned into tide, and swept from the top of the mountain. It was Jian Wushuang that he was very knowledgeable and shocked when he saw this twilight. He couldn't help but want to dive with the sword tide. Staring at the sword tide, the origins of various types of kendo suddenly appeared. Jian Wushuang carefully studied in order to get some help. The entire sword tide lasted for an hour, and the time was very short, but it was of extraordinary significance. It helped the sword repairmen who came here and showed the power of the Shangqing Palace. It is indeed strong enough. Among those sword lights, Jian Wushuang can see that there are at least 19 swords that are the origin of the Fifth Order Emperor. Of course, depending on the strength of the origin, it should be comparable to the origin of the Fourth Order Emperor outside. There are only 2 of the Sixth Order Emperors, which are the source of the swordsmanship of the Shangqing Palace Master and the Shangqing Ancestor. There are more Fourth Order Emperors, hundreds of them. The Third Order Emperor has passed thousands. One case is comparable to a universe. While Jian Wushuang shook the foundation of Chishan Temple, he also felt sad. The origins of these practitioners are flawed and too weak. It is 1 level worse than the Emperor outside, and may only be half worse in combat power, but the upper limit is much worse. It's no wonder that the importance of an ultimate emperor surpasses the sum of the native practitioners of the 4 secret realms. If the ultimate emperor had stepped into the 6th rank, he might be able to slaughter the entire 4 secret realms by himself. Even the special life in the Tomb of the Gods can't stop it. Here is the ultimate power. The sword tide ended. Jian Wushuang stood up and was still unfinished. In terms of origin, he doesn't need to learn from, but in terms of sword intent, he still has a lot to learn. Friends of Wushuang Daoist, if the sword tide is over, you are interested in participating in the sword match? Elder Zhoujian asked. Then sword. When the tide of swords in the Shangqing Palace ends, 13 arenas will be set up on the lake, and the contemporary 13 swords of the Shangqing Palace will personally guard the ring. To be able to become a descendant of Taya Sword in Shangqing Palace, they are not ordinary people, and their strength is comparable to that of the Emperor. The leader of the 13 people has a record of defeating the Emperor. Although not as good as Nai Yuan back then, it was enough to Megatron Liuju. Oh, then I have to learn something later. Jian Wushuang replied. He is not in a hurry, although there are only 2 days, 1 day has now passed, the strong are only in a flash, wait and see, there is still time for him to shoot. After the palace lord of Shangqing nodded with some elders, Elder Zhoujian got up and presided over. Everyone, here are 13 golden swords. Each golden sword has the origin of the kendo left by the ancestor of the Shangqing dynasty. Whoever can win a ring can get a golden sword. When Elder 9 Swords finished speaking, he threw 13 golden swords into the air and suspended them above the lake. Golden sword. Many Jian Xiu looked at those golden swords with fiery eyes. The original kendo of Shangqing Patriarch. If you can get one, and you can benefit from it carefully, even if you don't have to rely on this golden sword, You can exchange countless treasures that can improve yourself. Once there was a San Xiu who won a golden sword and was specially invited by the Shangqing Palace to enter the court as a succession disciple. His status was the same as that of the 13 Tai Ajian. There was also a Taoist monarch from a small sect who won the golden sword, auctioned it on the spot, and sold it for an astronomical price of 100,000 sacred stones. 100,000 sacred stones are comparable to the wealth of some emperors. Everyone held their breath and waited for the golden sword to fall into place. Many Taoists were gearing up to give it a try. At this time, 13 arenas have also risen on the surface of the lake, and a swordbearer, male and female, stands above each. These people are the descendants of Tai Jian. Tai Jian was not created by the ancestor of the Shangqing dynasty, but by a disciple of the ancestor of the Shangqing dynasty. The disciple who created the Tai Jian at the time created this kind of genius when he was a fourth-order emperor. It can allow Dao Jun to perfectly display his full strength, and even have such heaven-defying methods as amplifying his origin. It's a pity that he died young, and not long after he became a fourth-order emperor, he fell. At the beginning, the ancestor of the Shangqing dynasty was extremely furious, and a sword of cold light shocked the entire northern realm, and killed 16 emperors related to this matter overnight. 4 of them are fifth-order emperors. These people are not ordinary emperors, they have sects behind them, but they are shocked that no sect dared to come forward for them, and they didn't even dare to collect the corpses. It is precisely because of this shot that the ancestor of the Shangqing dynasty is famous in the secret realm of heaven. Taishu Gate, Han Wuxian challenges the 7th Tai Ajian. A Taoist sitting in the 3rd row rose to the sky and fell directly onto the 7th ring. His strength is only about half a step from the emperor. It is difficult to win the golden sword. At the same time, the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place immediately stood out 13 powerful Taoists. The weakest is the peak Dao Jun. Jian Wushuang glanced at him. This was the strongest among the 13 people, and he had no hope of winning the golden sword. The original kendo of the 6th-order emperor. He was also very excited about this opportunity. The 13 Tai swords of the Shangqing Palace were very powerful, but their origins were a bit weak. In comparison, the strength of the source is as strong as the Taoist monarch of the primitive universe. In terms of combat power, it is comparable to native monarchs, but not comparable to external monarchs. In contrast, in general, the stronger than the outside world are half a step ahead. The half-step emperor here may only have the power of the Daoist of the primitive universe. Those who are comparable to the emperor can have half a step, and those who defeat the emperor have the power of the emperor. Probably so. But if there is no opportunity for this temple of the gods, I am afraid that the Dayan immortal of the primitive universe will be the strongest and comparable to the emperor, and can be comparable to the Tianjiao among these aboriginals. But this is just an ancient sect. The 4 great secret realms are so vast, this is just a sect of Tianjiao, and the quality of it is really to be compared, and the original universe can't match it. But now that there is a chance for the Temple of Chishan, it is hard to say. Just talk about the Dianxian he saw. Wn Xing, Hui Qing, Ji Chaoyang, and himself are much better than the 13 Tai Ajian. Ji Chaoyang's 9th turn has the power of the Taoist monarch, which will directly rival the emperor when he reaches consummation. In the 4 secret realms, they have the power to kill ordinary emperors. And now Jian Wushuang, even if he didn't have the 9th rank consummation, he could still kill the native emperor. These 13 Tai swords, except for the sword chief, he was confident that he would defeat within 3 strokes. It was the strength of the sword chief that he couldn't see through. The divine body is very strong, and the basic divine body must surpass him, but I don't know if it has reached 10,000 times the level. The origin is SOSO, only the ordinary second-grade origin. The 13 players who played this time lost very quickly. If it weren't for these young masters to save some face, I'm afraid they would have to lose if they met each other. Text download address, phone reading. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,